Good day and welcome to a special interview with Pastor Dr. Itua Igudalo on TMI, the Senior Pastor of Trinity House Science Center. We're here to discuss the challenges of public policy making and execution in Nigeria. Pastor, thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Okay,
having
so
me.
I won't be doing this alone. I have my co-anchor, Josh, sitting here with me. Josh, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you.
Pastor, before we go into the questions properly, I want to ask the topic. We have a topic for you, which is um, the challenge of public policies making and execution in Nigeria. What would you say are the challenges of public making policies and execution in Nigeria as at today?
Well, it is one of the primary roles of government to make policies that will guide and shape the direction of governance, the direction of the economy, the thinking of the people, the ethos and the value that the government wants to propagate. And unfortunately, we have a two-tier system, the House of Representatives and also the Senate. And then you also have the government itself, and then you have the judiciary. So you have about four areas by which policy can be made and shaped, and also listening to public opinion outside there. One of the challenges today is that a lot of our people in governance are slightly not well prepared for governance. Let me use those words. And I'm choosing my words very carefully. Also, they're not as exposed as they should be. Then they're not also as informed and knowledgeable as they should be. But I think the primary area of concern for me personally is that they're not focused on the people and the governance and the environment as they should be. So that is the first challenge, the lack of knowledge, the lack of preparedness of the people who are shaping our policy. The second is the sincerity, okay, and the direction to which they want to shape policy. What really do you want to do to society? How do you want society to benefit? You can see that Donald Trump has come into America, and within 9 months or so, 6 months he's been there, he's been shaping the policy and the thinking, for good or for bad, of America, because he must have come in prepared. And this, I was reading something about Obama the other day, and he was saying that a lot of things that even a president says when he's out there, he's always been prepared for him. Somebody writes his speech, somebody shapes his thinking, somebody has decided which way they want America to go. They're just now looking at the person who will be the face of that movement. So I think that is the challenge in Nigeria, a lack of knowledge, a lack of sincerity, a lack of understanding, full understanding of what the issues are in Nigeria and what the issues we should be solving are. And then also a lack of courage. You know, some of the decisions to change and shape policy needs a lot of courage. They may not be popular on the onset, but in the long run, the outcomes of those policies will show. So these are the things that are confusing us in Nigeria. And of course, the political environment, you know, the corruption.
Pastor, sorry, let me come in there. You talked about courage, but the president, sitting president right now, a lot of people says he has the courage because some other past presidents have been saying they were going to take off the fuel subsidy. But he came in less than 1 minute or 2 minutes into his speech. He said the fuel subsidy was out. And so if you ask me, don't you think that is courageous enough for him to have said that?
Well, that's probably why he got to that presidency in the first place. He's one of the most courageous people that I know personally. And of course, one of the most courageous politicians that I know. If you hear him, he says he's prepared for everything. He's prepared to win, he's prepared to lose, he's prepared for betrayal, he's prepared for fight, he's prepared for reconciliation after a fight and betrayal. So he's been relatively courageous. And that's why he's been able to push some of his policies through. You know, the fuel subsidy, the exchange rate, floating of the naira, and so on and so forth. But you can also see that there have been a lot of policy reversals, okay? Today they'll say the price has gone this way. By the evening, protests everywhere, they'll reverse it. Tomorrow they'll say something has changed. By the afternoon, they'll reverse it and so on. So, meaning that some of those policies were not well thought through. in the first place.
Okay,
And
so
maybe there
meaning
was
that
not
they were.
enough consultation.
Yes.
But one thing I also like is that they are quick to reverse themselves when they see that the outcry is a little bit large. So that again I like, because it also takes courage and humility to reverse yourself when you find that some of the policies that you have made, there's a pushback or there's a reaction that you didn't expect.
All
Josh, I
right.
know you want to talk to
Yeah,
him.
because Pastor made some very salient point, especially when he talked about people who are not ready for governance, who find themselves in the corridor of power. And that struck a chord in me, because some persons say the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, where certain persons who came into office before long have been telling you they've been making plans, preparing themselves for the job ahead, and suddenly they come in and they said they are not too familiar with the ruts they found until they got there. Now, is it a case of vying for office or for the job of the office?
Well, I like to understand what you mean by the job of the office, the
Yes.
responsibility
The responsibility
of the office.
Yes.
A lot of people do not, they tend to underestimate the responsibility of the office. They tend to underestimate the import of the office, and they tend to underestimate the essence of the office.
Yes.
It was, I think, the President of America, Kennedy, that said, think not what your country can do for you, but think what you can do for your country.
Yes.
90% of the people in office today, and you can quote me, and if they say that I am wrong, I'll reverse myself, have not gone into office to do something for the nation. They have gone into office to fulfill ambition and to benefit themselves. Jesus Christ said those who are going to be leaders or heads should be minister. The word minister means servant. So if you say you're a minister of communication, you say you're a servant of communication. If you're a minister of education, you're a servant of education. If you're a minister of Aso Rock or whatever it is, you are a servant. You are there to serve and to serve the people, not to be served.
So you think Nigeria should, be divided?
It's not a division. America is a federation, whether you like it or not. The laws in Arizona are different from the laws in California.
Sure.
The laws in California are different from the laws in New York. The laws in New York are different from the laws in Atlanta. But there's certain things that bind them together. Okay? The FBI binds them together. The currency binds them together. The Supreme Court of America binds them together. So there are things that each person handles. There are things that they agree to do together. And there's a common focus that they have agreed to do together as a federating unit. What is that focus? There's a right to every American to make money and improve himself. That right must not be denied. The laws that are made must make sure that every American can improve himself and have his say and speak and not be gagged or threatened.
All right.
Okay.
That being said, my next question, is coming from what you just said earlier about education. So to speak, some persons tend to be ahead of the other, perhaps because of a gap in information. Now, we see persons who occupy, offices where they tend to play down on data. We heard some time ago a viral video of a supposed presidential candidate who was saying that statistics we go chop. So how do you think a leader who undermines the importance of data and research will do well when it comes to policy making and execution, when he knows next to nothing about what he is planning or projecting for?
It's almost impossible in this day and age to manage well without data, statistics, and information. You have a world of almost 8 billion people who have predictable outcomes in terms of needs, desires, character, attitude, and empowerment. You need statistics. The reason why we go to places like Canada and Australia is that they plan 20, 30, 50, 100 years ahead.
That's true.
This road we're going to do here, this water we're going to put here, this element we're going to put there, how is it going to affect everybody that's going to use this road in the next 20 years? They do that simulation and simulation until they agree that the road should pass here, because this is the best way for it to pass to make the maximum impact and the minimum damage. It's called environmental impact analysis. It's based on data. So anybody who disregards data today is making a fundamental mistake. The simple adverts that people, I saw my son playing a game, watching a certain TV series attached to it. And I was wondering to myself, what makes this, it was 6 years old at that time. What makes this 6-year-old fellow so attached to this thing? The simple thing is data.
That's true.
They have done the analysis of 6-year-olds, their minds, their mentation, what they like and what they don't. So they have produced something that is fascinating and captivating to them.
Pastor, let's quickly look at corruption and accountability, because you have just talked about, the other countries that plan ahead. They plan like 100 years ahead and all that. Corruption. Let's look at corruption and accountability in Nigeria. How significant does corruption affect the outcomes of well-designed public policies? Because some of these policies are well-designed. Corruption probably eats it up. And then it's a second question to follow up is why is accountability still a major challenge in monitoring policy executions?
Okay, so let's talk about corruption first, and then later we'll talk about accountability. And if I forget, you may...
I'll remind you. Yes, yeah. Pastor.
Lee Kuan Yew, one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen in this generation, who took Singapore from third world to first world in 40 years. He said corruption is about the worst thing that can happen to any government and any organization. He says wherever there's corruption, there's going to be a misallocation of resources, there's going to be policy of somersaults, there's going to be insincerity, and there's going to be a lack of development. I think the biggest singular problem in Nigeria today is corruption. Anywhere in the world, corruption. And any country that has corruption at this level, this volume, or any sort of corruption whatsoever, will not be able to make significant progress. It's as simple as that.
Pastor, thank you for being around with us. We're going to be looking at the security issues in Nigeria, the insecurity issues in Nigeria. Donald Trump very recently said he was going to come into the country to help fight the insecurity, and a lot of people are expecting him. A lot of people are saying, what is he waiting for? We need him to come. And just when we're dealing with that, we heard of the kidnap of the female students from a school in Kebbi State. And, that has been very pathetic. There are 25 of them, and the vice principal was killed. Pastor, at this rate, do you think the government of today is not doing enough for security?
Well, a lot of the problem has become so deep and sincere and really terrible that it's going to take a lot of energy, power, interest, and there was a word you used the other time, political will to fight insecurity in Nigeria. The reason is that there's some big people behind this insecurity for whatever reason. It could be politics. Because I don't see why anybody will go to a school and capture 25 children. For what? And then kill the vice principal. I don't see the economic gain to the person. I don't see it. Okay, aside from wickedness, hatred, ignorance, or politics. I don't see it. Okay, I don't even know if they're demanding a ransom. The other girls that they took away the other day, nobody even demanded a ransom. They just took them away. And if you want to marry girls, it's not difficult. You can go and ask the parents and pay the bride price and marry them. So I think there's some powerful people who are behind this thing for an interest.
So what could that interest be? Because as some people would say, to be able to tackle something headlong, you need to go after those at the profit end. So Could it be for money making? Or just as someone said this morning, their interest could be anti-education because the Boko Haram sect are saying that they are against Western education. So could it be because there are people up there who are saying they don't want their girls? Because obviously, as someone said, the girl child is always the main target. So are they saying that they don't want education for the girl child? And as such, they're attacking these people. So what do you think could be done to be able to correct that mindset, especially those who are at the profit end of getting their ideology realized?
So the question I want to ask you, if
You
I'm
asking me?
allowed, is what is the profit end by some people by not having some girls or boys educated?
Educated.
What are they profiting from it? What is the long-term game plan? Because there's a long-term game plan that they are after. Tell me, what are they profiting from?
Josh.
You-
Okay.
you- you-
Pastor
you
now
just- you
is the
just-
presenter.
he
So
just-
Josh, please answer the question.
He just sounded like the African who asks question with a question.
No,
or
but
responds to
he's
question. But then-
anchor right now. So please
No,
answer the question.
he should be the one to respond to the question because
Josh.
persons are saying that this could be their ideology. So I'm asking him now. Perhaps he might have an idea because I'm not the one to form, that opinion for people. So what do you think could be
It's a
the
political
reason?
interest.
Oh, really?
And they're using religion for the benefit of control of power. That's all. Some people have decided that they want to control power and influence people and the thinking of people and control resource, and therefore they are using ideology to control the minds of people so that they can control power.
Okay, if I may come in here, Josh was asking because we had a guest this morning who also said that just what Josh mentioned, because the female students are usually targeted. If we remember the Chibok girls, it was the girls. And now we have from Kebbi 25 female students. Why is it that the female students are usually targeted? Is it because they are too soft, they won't be able to escape, or because Josh said
Just like he said, let me corroborate what he said. He said it's a patriarchal world where the men are in charge. So he also tried, the guest also tried to narrow it into the biblical saying where Apostle Paul said women should keep quiet.
yes, shouldn't speak even in church. If you
in
do
the
not
house of
understand
God. So
anything,
if you have anything to
ask your husbands when you
can
get
go
home.
back home and ask your husband. So are we gradually trying to understand it from that perspective that the idea of targeting girl child is just to deprive them of education and keep them in a place where you can call them the second class citizens?
And there's nobody is targeting girls to deprive them or to be bad to them. People are making it an ideology. And sometimes ideologies are not properly explained and not properly understood.
Yeah.
And then sometimes misunderstood in context of a different and a changing society, and so on and so forth. Society has moved away far, far, far from a girl being underprivileged. But people still want to retain it as an ideology, and an ideology to force their interest and to gain their control of the society. Okay? It's just an ideology. They themselves don't understand the meaning of that ideology, but they have been told that this is the way it should be. And because it should be this way, anything that contradicts that thing is contradicting their ideology, is contradicting their interest, contradicting their culture, and therefore it must be done away with. And therefore they target that ideology, or they use that ideology to target innocent girls. And then, of course, maybe the girls also are soft targets, and so on and so forth, which is again is unfortunate. But it's just the ideology. You have an ideology that says that you must take the Holy Communion, for example. The Holy Communion is an ideology. Take the Holy Communion because you believe the Holy Communion will give you strength. So anybody that comes to threaten your Holy Communion, you will fight him with your life, and so on and so forth. It's an ideology that somebody has sold to you. You have an ideology that says you must pray 3 times a day or 5 times a day. Anything that prevents you from praying 4 or 5 times a day, which sometimes you don't even understand why you are praying 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. You don't even understand the reason behind it. but it's now become an ideology for you, and you protect it with your blood. I'll tell you a very funny story. A lady in their house, black Americans, they will catch fish, call it keeper or whatever it is. They will cut the tail, cut the head, and put it in the fry pan. Every time they cut the fish, they will cut the tail, cut the head, put it in the fry pan. And it became a strong family tradition that if anybody came to their house and didn't cut the tail, cut the head, they had disgraced the family. They should be expelled. So one day, an innocent child asked, Mama, why do we cut the tail and cut the head before we fry the fish? My teacher tell me the head is nutritious. Say, go ask your grandmama. I don't know. All we know is this is what we do. So they asked the grandmama, why do you cut the tail, cut the head, put it in the fry pan? So I don't know. Go ask your great grandmama. They had a great grandmama. This is all I know. It's what we do. This is our family tradition. Nobody must break it. So they went to the great grandmama, toothless now. Great grandmama, why do we cut the tail and cut the head before we put it in the frying pan? Great grandmama said, oh, finally you asked the question. Oh, in them day, the fry pan was very small.
Oh, wow. Wow.
The fish couldn't fit in.
Oh, wow.
So we had to cut the tail and cut the head to put the fish in. It became an ideology based on the thinking of that day. But today, with huge fry pans and big baking ovens,
still go that circle.
it is irrelevant.
It's
But
very
some people
relevant.
would defend it with their blood. This is our family tradition. We must cut the tail, cut the head. A lot of the ideologies are like that. They were suitable when you had a lunar society. You had no iPads. You had no social media. You had no understanding of what causes what penicillin and antibiotics does. You know, it's like telling me now that you want to cure antibiotics by putting a baby to the fire. I cause infection. You put the baby to the fire, like my grandmother used to do. When you can give him a little shot of penicillin and you are done. But this is our tradition. When you have the new baby, put him by the fire. Why? It is to prevent infection in the future. But they're still doing it till today. Society has changed. Society has
Right
changed.
now, let's talk
completely.
about the role of the governors in this case, because looking at the intel the governor received, I mean, the abduction of the 25 girls, he said he received an intel which made him deploy soldiers to that particular school. But unfortunately, the soldiers left the scene, which gave way for the guys to go in and abduct the girls. Now, someone is saying that he's the executive governor of the state, which means that he should be the number one controller of the state, but he does not control the armed forces. So, at what point should we begin to see our governors taking full responsibility, not just answering sole executive officers of the state just on paper, but on words and action, so that schools within those regions that have become a prime target could be secured, especially for children now who are apprehensive about going to school, given what just happened?
Yeah, so I run a group called the African Leadership Group. And every Thursday, maybe we can put it on your platform, we have a dialogue on Nigeria Leadership Series, African Leadership Series, trying to look for solution to these problems that we're all discussing. What we're trying to do with that series is to consult widely different kinds of people. This is where we are in Nigeria. Agriculture, what do you think? Education, what do you think? So last week, we had a guy called Professor Robert Dastro to tell us what is this issue of having Nigeria mentioned as a country of particular concern. What does it mean?
Or as a disgraced nation, as it were.
What does it mean? Okay, because he's been working on this CPC thing in America with various governments for many years, and we happen to just know him. And one of the things he said is that there's no way you can effectively police a society if you do not have local policing. That's what this governor was saying. How can I give an instruction to troops, and somebody somewhere gives a counter instruction. But then this should tell us quickly where the problems are. The soldiers are still alive. If they are bold enough and courageous enough, they should tell us who told them to leave that place. Where did the instruction come from? By the time you go 3-4 levels, you'll find where our problems are and who gave the instruction. Some superior officer must have given an instruction to some other officer, who was protecting some interest. So that will solve a bit of our problem. So the governor should do his investigation. But this also tells me that we need to have local policing. But the fear of local policing is that the politicians will again weaponize it and use
on
it
the people.
to
Use
fight,
it to harm the people.
which they are doing even at the federal. Federal is using his might to control.
But there could be some legal
Certain
frameworks that could put them in checks.
Let's put in the frameworks. But technically, everywhere in the world, the police should be local. Politics is local. Police should be local.
Crime is local.
Crime is local.
Yeah.
So there must be local control. So in America, you have county police, you have university police,
Yeah.
county police, university police, state police, federal police, 4 sorts of police. And each police knows his own jurisdiction, knows his own area. In my area, I'm in charge. You can't come into my area, even if you are federal, without seeking my cooperation and my consent.
But do you think Nigeria is ready and matured and prepared for that kind of policing?
We just have to try it, We just have to try it, and so on and so forth. Where will we get ready and matured and prepared? Again, you've spoken to what I said earlier, the level of education and knowledge. By the time maybe my children's generation are in charge, maybe we'll be mentally ready. Okay? But maybe right now, because of our background and limited exposure, maybe we're not really ready.
Okay, Pastor, thank you so much. But before we round off, I'm going to be asking you one word for the government of today: policy and security.
One word.
Just one word for both. For one, for policy, one for security, insecurity.
We just need the government to be sincere. Sincerity. And to really, really go after the best interests of the ordinary and average Nigerian. With everything that they have. If they did that, nobody needs to buy any vote. Nobody needs to influence election outcomes. Nigerians are easy to please, the average Nigerian. They just want an environment where they can operate with safety and do their craft. They're so creative. That's why they're going to environments that gives them that opportunity.
And they do well there.
And they do well. They don't care who is in government house. They really don't care. The man just wants to prosper and enjoy himself. So if government concentrates on what will make the average Nigerian happy and prosperous, that's what the governor or the prime minister of Dubai said, Al Maktoum. He says, my job is to make my people happy. So he will stop people on the road. Are you happy? I'm not happy. What is the problem? Yesterday, the sun shone too brightly. What do I do about it? Can you put a small cloud cover? Okay, Minister of Communication, begin to research it. This boy must be happy. Goes down the other place. I'm not happy. Why are you not happy? The hamburgers were not properly fried yesterday. Why? The kitchen overheated. Okay, I will research it. I will make you happy. There's 200 million of us. What is the census that will make each one of us happy? By the time you do that census, you will find that there's only 3, 4, 5 things that will make them happy. Let the government focus on it and make his people happy.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us here today on TMI. It's been a fantastic time out with Pastor Dr. Itua Igudalo. This is a private interview with Pastor, and we know that Pastor is the senior pastor of Trinity House Zion Center. Thank you for joining us today on TMI. Josh, you have something to say?
Yeah, it's a pleasure, of course, sharing this very momentous moment with him.
Make the people happy. My name is Patricia Uremu Gabriels. Thank you for joining.